Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar with VetMatrix on Don't Let Bad Reviews Heat You Up. I'm going to give a couple minutes and let a few others trickle in, but if you all can hear me right now, just please type in Y in the chat box. And thank you for everyone who's doing that. We'll get started probably about 10:02, so about 3 more minutes. We're just going to let those last few attendees actually be able to sign in and get registered with us, and then we'll have a brief webinar today on bad reviews and how we can either change the entire perspective of that for clients and how we can resolve those online. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started today. Welcome to our webinar presentation on Don't Let Bad Reviews Heat You Up, presented by us here at VetMatrix. My name is Marcus Sullivan, and I am the VetMatrix Senior Account Executive. I have been here for about 4.5 years now. I've done quite a few of these webinar presentations where I've also spoken at some of the major veterinary conferences like NAVC, CVC, WVC, as well as at Kansas State University, speaking on very similar topics as reviews, things like search engine optimization, visibility online, and online marketing. So we've got plenty of experience behind us. But let's get into it, as today is a pretty short presentation. It's about a 15-minute course that will cover everything that you need to know on what to do when you receive a negative review online, and how to transform that negative review into a positive experience, not only for your patients, but also the practice. So this is our building actually here at iMatrix. We have over 10,000 clients. We've been in the online marketing space for about 15 years now. We are a Better Business Bureau accredited business and Google certified partner. So some things that we will be covering in today's presentation. First and foremost, what to do when you receive a negative review. Secondly, we will touch on how to actually make a negative review a positive experience, again, for both the practice and the clientele. We'll kind of try to answer a question as to why patients leave negative reviews, not only just negative, but also positive. And then we'll touch on how to ultimately get to that goal of getting more positive reviews, which in turn hopefully turns into a few more new patients through the door. So we'll get right into it today, and first and foremost, we'll talk about how to handle a negative review. Understandably so, when you first get on, whether it's your Google Plus page or your Yelp, you see that negative review, you immediately have some sort of reaction, most likely a negative reaction, wondering what happened. So first and foremost, what we want to do is read the review again. Though your first instinct may be to defend your practice or employees or whatever the review is concerning, it's important not to let your anger get the best of you and write a response, which will only create further damage. We would really like to get a little bit more in depth and give yourself some time to actually investigate the situation. While all these negative reviews, we do want to respond in a timely manner, we definitely want to be able to give ourselves all the facts and what happened in that particular situation. So for example, try to remain objective while investigating the review, looking at it from both sides and both perspectives, from the client's as well as you and your staff's perspective. Talk to the staff that may have been involved in this particular situation and consider both explanations in the incident. So again, taking the staff side and taking what little information you may have from that review from what the client has said. And finally, what we'll want to do is we definitely want to respond. So we want to write a sincere, well thought out response. Always give the reviewer the benefit of the doubt and thanking them for bringing the incident to your attention. And also share any conclusions that you may have made based on the research and the information that you've gathered when doing this investigation into that review. And be sure to provide them with a solution. A carefully thought out response really demonstrates to a client that you care about your pet patients, their owner's concerns, and their overall experience. Typically, when people write negative reviews, they really want to be heard. So by giving them a well thought out response, as well as some sort of solution to what their issue may have been, really helps out in showing that positive experience or changing that negative review into a positive experience. So we'll definitely make sure that when we first see these reviews and handling it, we want to think objectively and also investigate and see really what happened in that particular situation. So next, how do we turn a negative review into a positive experience? Well, first and foremost, we want to address the reviewer's concern. If you are receiving multiple complaints about the same issue, chances are the reviewers are right. Whether it's maybe we need to go back and look at some processes, if a few reviewers are saying, hey, look, the wait times are way too long, maybe we take a look at what we're doing and how we can make the office a little bit more efficient and make it a little bit easier for clients to go through the appointment process. Use these reviews to your advantage by noting the areas where your practice can improve and implement a plan of action to fix the issue. Understandably so, it's not easy for us to go out and see these negative reviews about us and on our practices. So we really want to use this as a time where we can improve, and we may be able to streamline some processes or improve in certain areas with the customer experience. Again, if clients are never giving you any negative feedback, then you really can't, you're really going to have a hard time finding out where you may need to improve. So again, take that negative review and try to turn that into a positive experience for your clinic. Again, the right response is everything. So offering an apology and a solution to the negative review can completely turn the situation around. For example, I said earlier, hey, maybe the common complaint is that wait times are too long. Well, by responding and saying, hey, look, we looked at some of the processes that we're doing. What we're going to try to do is we're going to try to offer maybe some forms online where you can print them out and bring them in so that you can go ahead and streamline that process a little bit for clients. Or getting some sort of recognition that you do see, hey, look, this is an area where we can improve, will really help that client out. And what in turn is, in that response, a client will feel heard, and they will say, hey, look, I really appreciate that Dr. Anderson has taken the time to read my review and is actually going to implement something that will not only help me out as a client, but also the client base in general. The reviewer will oftentimes be appeased to find that their concerns are being heard. At best, you will leave such a positive impression that they may update their review to be more favorable towards your veterinary practice. There are plenty of times where I see a client or a business who I've done some consulting with and talked to them, and they've gotten a negative review. And what they did was, like we spoke about earlier, remained objective and actually investigated the situation, and it was a simple misunderstanding. So what they did was they obviously responded to the client on the review, and they gave them a solution. They gave them some answers as to what may have happened and where the misconception may have lied. And sure enough, within a week or two later, that client has actually gone back on that review site and actually responded, you know, this was a complete miscommunication on both ends. Actually, Dr. Anderson called me back and reviewed online, and everything was cleared up. I really appreciate them taking the time to go ahead and actually hear what I had to say. So the goal is, you know, again, if we do have that negative review, to try to leave a positive impression in the client's mouth after that initial negative review. So why patients leave negative reviews? First and foremost, it isn't personal. 86% of online consumers would like to hear from a company regarding a complaint or negative review. Typically, we find that negative reviews are left in the heat of the moment. So with this, going in and responding and actually responding to that complaint really kind of takes down that wall that this client has put up. They're also offering you a chance to make things right. So again, try not to take these reviews too personally. It's usually in the heat of the moment, but again, take that chance that you have to make these things right. As well, clients are actually leaving negative reviews to inform other consumers. 90% of reviewers write their reviews to help others make better decisions. Their intention is to help inform or warn potential patients about your practice. So as you can see, based on informing others, these are definitely situations that we want to respond and we want to offer solutions to. Again, so it shows that reputation, it shows that you care about the business. If you take your time to fix the incident, they may change your opinion of your practice and reflect it in an updated review. By showing that we actually care about what people are saying about us and responding, you'll notice, as I've talked quite a bit through this webinar, I talk a lot about response. By showing that you care and that you are willing to sit down and take the time and respond to people's complaints or issues about your business can go a long way. Like I've said earlier in my earlier example, I've seen it plenty of times where a negative review was left and the clinic just went in and said some simple words to go ahead and try to clear that up, and even left a phone call or gave them a phone call and said, hey, look, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to fix this. It has gone a long way in changing that positive reputation. So really the end goal, getting more positive reviews and getting that positive reputation out about our business. In turn, you know, getting us more new patients through the door based on the positive reviews that other consumers or other clients are using to actually schedule appointments with us. Let's make it easy. As we have changed as a society, everybody wants things as easy as possible and in front of their face. So let's make it easy for our clients. Once your practice is established on review sites like Google, Facebook, Yelp, we want to make sure that your patients and online visitors can find them and have easy access. One of the easiest ways to allow clients to leave reviews is by having those icons and those proper links set up right in front of clients' faces, right on your website. So always top right-hand corner, making it very easy for a client to be able to go and leave you a review. Embed icons that link to Facebook, Yelp, Google+, and any other review and any other social platforms that your practice is active on, such as Review Us Now button on your homepage that links directly to your Yelp or Google+ page. If you have any other review sites that you're on, Angie's List, whatever it may be, feel free to leave those links right on your website, because that's your home place online for clients to go ahead and be able to interact with you. Number 2, just ask. Though you shouldn't tell them exactly what to say, feel free to ask your most highly satisfied patients if they would feel comfortable reviewing your practice on any major third-party review site. So again, any major third-party review site would be your Google+, Yelp. Feel free to ask. There are plenty of clients, we always say that people are treating pets like children these days. Most practices that I deal with have plenty of clients that they know on a first-name basis, and feel free to ask. They are more than happy to bring their pets to you, so feel free to ask them to say some positive, nice things online about you. Again, don't tell them what to say, but feel free to ask. Don't ask too many people at the same time, since Google actually penalizes pages that have too many reviews posted at once. So in terms of getting positive reviews, we want to make sure that this is a long-term goal and that we're not overwhelming our review sites with reviews at one time. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to one week get 50 reviews on Google Plus and then say, you know what, we're okay, we got 50 reviews in 1 week, we don't need to do that anymore. Really what we'd like to try to do is get a review a week, 1 or 2 reviews every week, just so it looks natural. By overwhelming your review sites, it does show Google's fairly smart, so they would recognize, hey, look, they've done something to get all this huge influx of reviews. So let's make this a long-term goal and get a couple reviews over a couple week time span. Third, let's respond to all reviews. Even positive reviewers appreciate feedback for their reviews. Thank them for taking the time to write a review about your practice. The more patients that see your kind response, the more they will be encouraged to write a positive review as well. So if clients do see that you are responding to those reviews, others will be more than happy to write some nice words about you. And also, use some tools to help. Some social media platforms have publishing tools that congregate feedback, and there are other subscription tools that collect your online reviews in one place so as to help you monitor them better. Here at VetMatrix, we have a tool called Reputation Builder that encompasses both the ease of soliciting reviews with a monitoring function to make it easy to build new reviews while monitoring what's being said about you. So like, for example, some of those tools, you do get immediate feedback. If somebody has said something about you on Yelp, businesses can be notified within 24 hours that, hey, Susie wrote a review about you on Yelp, click here to take a look at it. So there are definitely tools out there to help you manage this, but again, you can always use those other avenues that I recommended earlier in terms of getting more positive reviews. So that concludes our webinar presentation today. I will leave it open for some Q&A at this time, but feel free to either give us a call or visit us online, and you can actually receive a free website evaluation and reputation evaluation if you would like by just giving us a call, and we'll actually go in a little bit more on one-on-one and discuss specifically with you about your practice. So if you guys feel free to leave any questions, and I'll go ahead and answer those right now. So I do have one question. Somebody asked, what if somebody mistakenly writes a review about my practice? I have seen this in a few different situations where I have seen some clients where, for example, if you have a very common business name, they have actually written a review about a business in the wrong area and it's not actually about that specific practice, you can go ahead and respond to that if you'd like and say, hey, I think there may be some miscommunication. We're actually located here and I'm not sure. So I've actually seen plenty of times where if it is a miscommunication and somebody is actually writing a negative review about a business that they weren't intending to, one, you can contact Google. They are usually more than willing to take that down, but two, responding to it and getting that clarified really helps as well. So I do have another question, and it says, is it possible to remove a bad or unreasonable review? It's really difficult in terms of Google and Yelp to remove reviews. But like I said, for example, if it was a completely different situation where it was about the wrong business, their sites like Google and Yelp are more than willing to work with you to get those removed. But unfortunately, a lot of the time, just because it's a bad review, they typically will not remove that. It just really depends on a case-by-case basis. It just really depends on what the client has said. So I've seen situations where ex-employees have left poor reviews, and I've seen businesses who've contacted Yelp and Google, and they've gotten that resolved for the client. But typically, just because it's a bad review, it's really difficult to get that removed. So I got another question: is how can you respond to reviews without sounding repetitive? So that is going into investigating and responding on a case-by-case basis. Each situation, if you're getting a lot of reviews, like I said earlier, that are saying the same thing, we definitely want to go in and make sure that's a process that we're trying to fix. We really need to be creative in the ways that we respond. So taking it as a unique case-by-case basis and responding to their specific complaint is going to really help in not sounding repetitive. But again, if it's a repetitive negative review where somebody's consistently saying the same thing over and over again, then we may want to look at our processes and change that. But by going in and looking at that unique situation and actually responding to them specifically, as opposed to more of a just general response, that's where you're going to really cut down on the repetitiveness. So I have another question that somebody asked that says, I've heard that Yelp does not want you to respond to reviews at this point. Should we respond to reviews on Yelp? Some people have different feelings about that. Yelp may say, oh, we don't want you to respond to reviews. Again, it's the reputation of your business. So if you feel it's necessary to respond, I would highly recommend responding. It's your reputation. For whatever reason, I haven't heard that personally, but like I always say, and best practices throughout the industry, we always say respond, whether it's Google, Yelp, whatever the review site may be. Another question is, the main type of negative review we get are after a pet dies. They're not super common, but we do get some of them. Is there any advice on this? That's definitely a difficult situation. Anytime a pet dies, of course, the reviewer who has left that review is in a very emotional state, which is totally understandable. I've seen it quite a bit where the business has actually started going in and sending cards and actually giving a phone call after they've had to put the pet down, and it's really kind of helped them in terms of that review. The best advice we give is, hey, look, getting online and saying, we understand how you're feeling right now, and giving them their sympathies online. Usually, I've even seen that case again where clients are actually going in and saying, hey, I know I wrote this review when my pet did die. I wrote that emotionally, and they've actually responded positively. So again, maybe giving that client a phone call or writing something and giving them your condolences will actually go a long way when their pet dies. But again, that's definitely a sensitive situation for clients anytime that they lose a pet. So another great question that I also have is, what is the best way to ask for a review without sounding needy or like you're begging? So like I was kind of explaining during the webinar is you have a lot of clients, I always say your top 5%, your top 10%, where you know those clients on a first name basis. A lot of practices I work with, they have plenty of clients that they know on a first name basis. We don't, definitely every time they come in, we don't want to say, hey, do you mind leaving me a review on Google? But one time really doesn't make a business or a practice owner sound very needy, especially when it's one of those clients you know on a one-on-one basis. From my experience, what I've seen is when you do ask those clients that you know very well, that you're seeing every few months, whether it's for vaccinations or they're coming in quite often to order their prescription food, whatever it may be, usually that comes off as, hey, look, this business owner or this doctor really values my opinion, and those clients are typically most likely going to leave your review with no questions asked. Even making it a little bit easier, saying, hey, if you don't mind, can I email you a link so that you can go write me a review online? You actually find that clients actually appreciate that because you're making it even easier for them by actually sending them that email. So like I said, don't ask them every time that they come in for a visit for a review, but those clients that we highly value or that we know on a first name basis, feel free, and it doesn't really sound needy or begging at all. There is a great point on here in the question section is trying to respond to delicate situations, again, is very tough. We definitely don't want to make it seem like we are arguing with the client. So by saying, hey, you're totally wrong about this situation, we definitely want to go in there and be very considerate about what these clients are saying in these reviews. So going in and treading lightly when we do respond is key. So how can you ask for a review for an emergency practice? We don't have that long-term relationship. So typically with an emergency practice, the client's usually gone through some sort of, whether it's a traumatic situation for the client or the pet, doing a follow-up and saying, hey, if you know that once you're finished, I've actually had situations with my pup where I've had to take him to the emergency, an emergency practice, and just by the relief of when I was done, knowing that this doctor did all they could and helping me out and turned the situation and helped us out, they actually sent a kind of like an email packet saying, hey, if you don't mind, please let us know how your visit was, and knowing that client, because you can usually tell if that client was happy with your service or not by sending some follow-up information. So any paperwork that you send, any information, feel free to ask them for a review as well, especially knowing that they had that positive experience even in an emergency practice. So asking for reviews while they leave is a little bit more difficult, but by sending all your follow-up information, whether it's follow-up paperwork, asking how their pet was doing a few days later, that can go a long way in getting them to write you a positive review. So for an emergency practice, asking how their pet was doing after a few days, a week or so, and just following up with them after their visit really can go a long way in getting them getting you a positive review. So some practices are even writing here in the chat section that they have had success with flagging reviews on Yelp that have actually, so Yelp does have a regulations and rules section for their review site, and there are specific things that Yelp does not allow, and they've literally had at least 5+ that have been filtered out. So like I said, these review sites will definitely go in and filter out any reviews that are out of the norm or that are against their regulations or rules. So thank you for that input. That's fantastic, so that we can let everybody else know, hey, look, if you do have some issue where it's a don't want to say outlandish, but kind of outlandish review, that they will go ahead and filter those out. This group has been fantastic in asking questions today. Well, again, we appreciate all of your guys' time today and sitting through this webinar presentation. I hope you all got as much out of it as you wanted to. Again, keep in touch with us because we do webinars quite often. And again, if you'd like to talk a little bit more specifically about your practice, feel free to give us a call here at VetMatrix, and we'll be more than happy to do a one-on-one consultation. Thank you all for your time, and until we speak again, good luck with getting all your positive reviews out there.